Emma Clark, a fresh-faced rookie basketball player, stepped onto the polished hardwood floor of the Eastside Eagles gym with a mixture of nerves and determination. At 20 years old, she was the newest addition to the prestigious team, a symbol of hope for the future, but to many of the seasoned players, just another inexperienced newcomer unlikely to make an impact. Her slender frame and quiet demeanor contrasted sharply with the confident swagger of the veterans already warming up on the sidelines. As she laced up her worn sneakers, scuffed from countless hours of late-night solo practice, Emma tried to steady her breath, aware of the curious eyes that flicked toward her from every corner of the gym. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken judgment. The Eastside Eagles were known for their relentless competitiveness and razor-sharp skills, and rookies were often viewed as little more than distractions or placeholders. Emma could feel the weight of skeptical gazes, the subtle smirks exchanged among players who had earned their place through sweat and grit. None of them knew the quiet intensity behind her calm exterior, the countless drills she had run alone before dawn, or the shots she had perfected in the solitude of empty neighborhood courts. Today was her first practice with the team, and the stakes felt impossibly high. Coach Reynolds clapped his hands to signal the start of drills, his voice booming across the gym. "All right, Eagles. Let's see what you've got. Focus on fundamentals, passing, shooting, defense. Emma, you're with Group 3. The words felt both welcoming and isolating, as if she had been thrown into the deep end without a life vest. Emma nodded, trying not to let her nerves betray her as she moved to join the group. The other players barely glanced her way, their conversations continuing as if she were invisible. The first few drills passed in a blur of rapid movement and shouted instructions. Emma kept pace, matching her teammates step for step, her eyes scanning the floor for openings. When it came time for shooting practice, her heart pounded louder. She positioned herself at the three-point line, ball in hand, and took a deep breath. The gym seemed to hold its collective breath with her. Her first shot arced through the air but fell short, bouncing off the rim with a hollow clang that echoed louder than it should have. A few players exchanged glances, a couple of chuckles rippled through the group. "Nice try, rookie," one of the veterans muttered under his breath, loud enough for Emma to catch. Another whispered, "Better luck next time." The laughter wasn't malicious, but it stung all the same. Emma's cheeks flushed, but she forced herself to keep her expression neutral, refusing to give the doubters the satisfaction of seeing her falter. Her second attempt fared no better, the ball rimmed out again, drawing a smirk from a tall forward who leaned against the wall. "Stick to defense, newbie," he joked, eliciting a few more snickers. Emma's mind raced, replaying the shot in her head, analyzing the angle, the release, the spin. She knew she could do better, had done better, but the pressure was a different kind of opponent entirely. Despite the whispers and the laughter, Emma's demeanor remained steady, almost serene. She didn't respond to the jabs or the dismissive looks. Instead, she focused on the rhythm of her breathing, the feel of the ball in her hands, and the subtle flex of her wrist as she prepared for the next shot. She had learned early on that confidence wasn't about loud declarations or flashy moves, it was about quiet preparation and trust in one's own ability. Around her, the gym buzzed with the energy of seasoned athletes pushing their limits. The veterans moved with assuredness, their shots swishing clean through the net, their passes sharp and precise. Emma watched them closely, absorbing the nuances of their play styles, the way they communicated without words, the split-second decisions that separated good players from great ones. She was an outsider looking in, but not for long, she promised herself. As the practice session wore on, Emma's missed shots became a source of mild amusement rather than derision. The veterans, confident in their superiority, saw no threat in the quiet rookie who struggled to connect with the net. Her unremarkable appearance, plain ponytail, simple practice jersey, and a face free of any pretense, only reinforced their assumption that she was a placeholder, a filler until the next promising recruit arrived. But beneath that unassuming exterior was a foundation built on discipline and dedication. Emma had spent years honing her shooting technique in local leagues, where the stakes were low and the pressure absent. She had learned to read the arc of the ball, to anticipate the bounce, and to adjust her form mid-flight if necessary. Those skills, while impressive in casual play, had yet to be tested in the crucible of the Eastside Eagles' competitive environment. The final drill of the session was a scrimmage, designed to simulate real game conditions. Emma found herself on the court, passing and moving with the team, trying to make herself useful despite the lingering doubts among her peers. Each time she touched the ball, she felt the weight of expectation, or rather, the absence of it. No one expected her to shine, no one expected her to matter. But Emma was determined to change that narrative. She knew the road ahead would be steep, filled with challenges and skepticism, but she also knew that every expert had once been a rookie. Today was just the beginning, the moment when the world labeled her inexperienced, a footnote in a story she was only starting to write. As the scrimmage unfolded, Emma's shots continued to fall short, her passes sometimes intercepted, her defense tested against faster, stronger opponents. Yet, amid the noise and doubt, she remained composed, absorbing every lesson, every missed opportunity, every whispered taunt. The Eastside Eagles saw her as just another rookie, until she proved them otherwise. The scrimmage roared on, the steady thump of basketballs echoing against the gym walls as players darted and weaved with practiced precision. Emma Clark moved with quiet determination, her every motion deliberate despite the sting of earlier misses and the weight of skeptical eyes. Yet, amidst the cacophony, one figure watched her with an intensity that went unnoticed by most: assistant coach Ramirez, a man known for his keen eye and unshakable calm. Ramirez had spent years molding raw talent into polished skill, and though he rarely voiced his thoughts aloud, his observations were precise and often prophetic. As Emma lined up for another shot, he leaned against the wall, arms folded, eyes narrowing just slightly. The rookie's form, while unrefined in places, carried a subtle grace, a flicker of something beyond mere practice. He noticed the way Emma's fingertips kissed the ball at release, the quiet confidence in her stance, even when her shots missed. There was an underlying rhythm to her movements, a cadence that hinted at hidden potential. Unlike the brash rookies who tried to force their way onto the court with loud displays, Emma's approach was measured, almost meditative. Ramirez's lips curled into a faint, knowing smile. As the scrimmage continued, Emma's teammates remained absorbed in the game, their minds still shadowed by doubt. Yet Ramirez's gaze never wavered. He saw past the misses, past the tentative passes, to a reservoir of talent waiting to be tapped. He caught subtle signs, the way she scanned the court, how her eyes anticipated defenders' moves, how she adjusted her footing in mid-dribble with a precision that defied her novice label. After a particularly swift break down the court, Emma took a shot that arced high but fell short again, eliciting a chorus of sighs and whispers from the veterans. Ramirez remained silent, his expression unreadable. When the ball bounced off the rim and rolled away, he moved toward the group, his voice calm but authoritative. "Hold up, everyone," he called, his tone cutting through the chatter. The scrimmage slowed, players turning toward him with a mix of curiosity and impatience. "Emma, come here for a moment." Emma's heart quickened as she approached, unsure of what to expect. The other players exchanged glances, some smirking, others simply indifferent. Ramirez gestured toward the side of the court, motioning for her to stand still. "Watch closely," he said, eyes fixed on Emma's shooting form. "It's not just about making the shot, it's how you move, how you position yourself. There's something in your technique that's different." Emma blinked, surprised but attentive. Ramirez's words carried weight, a rare moment of recognition amid the sea of skepticism. He stepped closer, his gaze sharp. "See here," he continued, pointing to the subtle bend in her elbow, the way her wrist flicked just before release. "Most rookies overextend or rush the shot, but you control the arc with precision. Your follow-through is steady, even when you miss. That's a sign of muscle memory, of ingrained skill." The veterans around them shifted uneasily, the mood shifting from dismissive to curious. Ramirez's endorsement carried influence, and his acknowledgement of Emma's hidden quality sparked a ripple of intrigue. "Where did you learn to shoot like that?" he asked quietly, his voice low enough that only Emma could hear. She hesitated, then shrugged modestly. "Just local leagues, mostly. Practiced a lot on my own." Ramirez nodded slowly, as if piecing together a puzzle. "It's rare to see such composure in a rookie." You've been holding back, haven't you? Emma's eyes met his, steady and honest. I guess I'm just trying to find my place. I don't want to be another loudmouth trying to prove something. I want to earn it. Ramirez's expression softened, respect evident in his gaze. Good. Because talent like yours doesn't need noise. It needs opportunity. Turning to the assembled players, Ramirez raised his voice again, this time addressing the entire team. Everyone, take note. Emma's shooting form is something to learn from. Don't let first impressions fool you. Sometimes the quiet ones have the loudest potential. The gym fell into a brief silence, the veterans exchanging glances that mingled surprise and reconsideration. Emma felt a flicker of something new, possibility. For the first time, someone with authority wasn't just acknowledging her presence, but recognizing her promise. Coach Reynolds, who had been watching from the sidelines, stepped forward, his gaze sharp but thoughtful. Ramirez is right. Emma, you'll have more chances to prove yourself. Keep working on what you've got. This team isn't about flash, it's about heart and skill. Emma nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. The walls of doubt that had surrounded her all day seemed to crack, letting in a sliver of light. She returned to her place on the court, the murmurs of her teammates now tinged with tentative curiosity rather than derision. As practice resumed, Emma felt a subtle shift within herself. The sting of earlier misses dulled, replaced by a renewed focus. She began to move with greater confidence, letting the rhythm she had cultivated in countless solitary hours guide her. Each pass, each dribble, each shot carried more conviction, her body remembering what her mind sometimes doubted. Ramirez continued to observe, occasionally jotting notes on a small clipboard, his expression unreadable but attentive. He saw the rookie's potential not as a flash in the pan, but as a foundation upon which the team could build. The moment was quiet, almost imperceptible, but it marked a turning point. Among the players, whispers began to circulate, questions rather than jokes. Who was this quiet girl with the unusual shooting form? Where had she learned to move with such calm precision? The veterans who had mocked her earlier now cast lingering glances, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Emma caught some of those looks but chose to focus on the game. She knew that recognition was a double-edged sword, welcome when earned, dangerous when premature. Her goal was simple, to prove, not just to others but to herself, that she belonged on this court. As the final whistle blew and the team gathered for the closing huddle, Ramirez pulled Emma aside briefly. "Keep this up," he said quietly. "There's more to you than meets the eye. I want to see you in the next scrimmage, full court. Show me what you've got when the pressure's on." Emma's lips curled into a small, determined smile. "I will." The rest of the team dispersed, the gym emptying slowly, leaving behind the echoes of bouncing balls and whispered doubts. But in that moment, under the harsh fluorescent lights, a seed had been planted, a seed of possibility that promised to grow beyond the boundaries of expectation. Emma Clark was still the rookie, still underestimated, but now she carried with her the quiet acknowledgement of potential. And sometimes, that was all it took to start changing the game. Emma Clark's unassuming presence masked a depth few had yet to glimpse. She stood quietly in the locker room, the hum of post-practice chatter swirling around her, but her mind was elsewhere, focused, as always, on the details that made the difference between a good shot and a perfect one. Her dark brown hair was pulled back into a simple ponytail, strands loose around her face, framing features that were plain but attentive. There was no flash or flare in her appearance, no bold tattoos or flashy gear to catch the eye, just a modest practice jersey, worn sneakers, and an intense gaze that betrayed a quiet intensity. Her personality mirrored her look, humble, reserved, and unpretentious. Emma didn't seek the spotlight or crave the roar of the crowd. Instead, she thrived in the stillness before the game, in the moments when the world faded, and it was just her, the ball, and the basket. She spoke softly, her words measured and thoughtful, often listening more than she talked. This demeanor made her easy to overlook, a background figure in a team filled with outspoken veterans and hungry rookies vying for attention. What her teammates couldn't see was the rigorous routine she maintained outside the gym. Long before dawn, while the city was still wrapped in darkness, Emma would be on an empty neighborhood court, practicing shot after shot under the faint glow of streetlights. Rain or shine, she would repeat the same drills, honing her technique until muscle memory took over. Her hands learned the perfect grip, her eyes trained to follow the ball's arc, her feet to find balance instinctively. This solitary dedication was her secret weapon, the foundation upon which she would build her future. Emma's history was quietly layered. Before joining the Eastside Eagles, she had played in local leagues where the stakes were lower but the competition fierce in its own right. Those games had been her proving ground, a place to sharpen her skills away from judgmental eyes and the harsh glare of major league scouts. In those low-pressure environments, her remarkable accuracy had often turned heads, though she never allowed herself to get caught up in praise or expectation. Instead, she focused on the craft, on perfecting the fundamentals that many overlooked in favor of flashy plays. Her approach to basketball was almost scientific. She kept meticulous notes on her progress, tracking every shot made and missed during practice sessions. She analyzed videos of professional players, dissecting their movements and adapting techniques to suit her style. Emma understood that talent alone wasn't enough. It had to be refined through relentless effort and self-awareness. This mindset set her apart from many rookies who relied on raw athleticism or bravado. Despite her quiet nature, Emma's mind was sharp and observant. She absorbed the dynamics of the team, noting the subtle hierarchies and alliances among players. She watched how veterans communicated, how they anticipated each other's moves, and how the coach's strategies unfolded on the court. This awareness allowed her to navigate the complex social fabric of the team without drawing unnecessary attention. She was a student of the game in every sense, learning not just the physical skills but the unspoken language that bound a team together. Her teammates' dismissive attitudes didn't deter her. Emma understood that respect had to be earned, not demanded. She welcomed the skepticism as a challenge rather than a setback, letting it fuel her determination rather than crush her spirit. In many ways, she saw herself as an underdog, not because she lacked ability, but because she chose to keep her talents under the radar until the right moment. Emma's past also included moments of quiet triumph that few knew about. In local tournaments, she had consistently ranked among the top shooters, her precision earning her nicknames like the silent sniper from those few who recognized her skill. But she had never sought broader recognition, preferring to maintain a low profile while building the foundation for a future that, until recently, had seemed uncertain. Her decision to join the Eastside Eagles was deliberate and calculated. She saw the team as a platform to elevate her game, to test herself against higher competition, and to grow beyond the boundaries of local leagues. But she also knew that fitting in would require patience and resilience. The Eagles were a team with established stars and fierce rivalries, where rookies were often relegated to the sidelines or used as practice fodder. Emma was prepared for this reality, she had faced it before. In moments of solitude, she reflected on her journey, how basketball had become more than a game, more than a pastime. It was a discipline that demanded focus and sacrifice, a language through which she expressed herself when words failed. Her quiet demeanor was not a weakness but a shield and a conduit, allowing her to channel her energy into something tangible and meaningful. As she sat alone on the bench after practice, tying her shoelaces with deliberate care, Emma's thoughts drifted to her drills. She reviewed the shooting form Ramirez had commended, the subtle adjustments she needed to make under pressure, and the mental toughness required to perform when the crowd was skeptical. Her resolve hardened, she wasn't here to be invisible forever. She thought about the upcoming challenges, the regional championship games, the intense scrutiny from coaches and teammates, and the personal battles she would have to fight to earn her place on the court. But she also felt a quiet confidence growing within her, born from countless hours of preparation, and a deep understanding of her own capabilities. Emma's unremarkable exterior was a deliberate choice, a way to navigate the noisy world of competitive sports without distraction. But beneath that calm surface swirled a reservoir of talent and determination that few could see yet. She was a player who believed in the power of steady progress, in the importance of mastering the basics before chasing glory. Her story was one of patience and perseverance, of hidden strength and silent mastery. Emma Clark was a rookie in the eyes of the Eastside Eagles, but in her heart, she was already a player with the potential to redefine what it meant to rise through the ranks, not with flash, but with quiet, unyielding skill. The following week brought a palpable shift in the Eastside Eagles' atmosphere, a mix of anticipation and tension that seemed to ripple through every corridor and locker room. The announcement from Coach Reynolds had sent waves through the team. The regional championship game was just days away, a high-stakes contest that would determine the Eagles' standing for the season and test every player's mettle. For rookies like Emma Clark, it was the moment of truth, a chance to prove they belonged under the bright lights or fade into the background as mere spectators. The veterans received the news with a mixture of excitement and skepticism. They understood the weight of the game, the pressure that came with representing a storied team with a legacy to uphold. Yet, among them, conversations buzzed with quiet doubts about the rookie's readiness, especially Emma's. Her initial practice performances still lingered in memory, the missed shots, the tentative passes, and many questioned whether she was prepared to shoulder any meaningful responsibility in such a critical match. In the locker room, the murmurs were unavoidable. A tall forward, his arms crossed and brow furrowed, voiced the prevailing sentiment. Championships aren't for rookies to mess around with. We need players who can handle the heat, not someone still learning to find their shot. A few others nodded in agreement, their eyes flicking toward Emma with thinly veiled skepticism. Emma overheard the remarks but remained composed, her expression unreadable. She understood their doubts were not personal attacks, but reflections of the high stakes and entrenched hierarchies. Still, the whispers fueled a quiet fire within her, a determination to rise above the labels and silence the critics not with words, but with action. When Coach Reynolds gathered the team for a strategy meeting, the tension was thick. He paced the room, eyes scanning each player before settling on Emma. "The championship is coming up fast," he began, voice steady but firm. "This game will demand focus, precision, and teamwork. Everyone will need to be at their best." He paused, then added, "Emma, I want you to volunteer for the final practice drill tomorrow. It's a chance to show what you're capable of under pressure." The room fell into a hush, all eyes turning to Emma. Some faces registered surprise, others skepticism. The tall forward from earlier smirked, whispering to a teammate, "Let's see if the rookie can even hit the rim." Emma met the coach's gaze steadily. "I'm ready," she said simply, her voice calm but resolute. The rest of the day passed in a blur of preparation and strategy sessions, but Emma's mind remained focused on the upcoming drill. She knew this was more than a routine exercise, it was a test of her readiness, a chance to shift perceptions and stake her claim within the team. Yet, beneath her calm exterior, a flicker of nerves stirred, a reminder that no amount of practice could fully simulate the pressure of expectation. The next afternoon, the gym buzzed with heightened energy as the team assembled for the final practice before the championship. The drill was designed to simulate critical moments, fast breaks, contested shots, and split-second decisions. The veterans moved with confidence, executing plays with practiced ease, while the rookies, including Emma, prepared to prove themselves. When it was Emma's turn to take the final shot, the gym's atmosphere shifted. Whispers circulated, some supportive, others doubting. The tall forward from before leaned back against the wall, arms crossed, eyes narrowed with a mixture of amusement and disbelief. "Watch closely," he muttered to a nearby teammate. "If she misses, it's going to be embarrassing." Emma positioned herself at the three-point line, ball in hand. The weight of the room's expectations pressed down, but she breathed deeply, centering herself as she had countless times before in quieter moments. She focused on the basket, blocking out the murmurs and glances. She released the ball with a fluid motion, the shot soaring with a perfect arc. For a brief moment, all eyes followed its path. The ball struck the rim, bouncing with a sharp clang that echoed through the gym. A collective sigh rippled among the spectators, the laughter and whispered jokes began to swell. "Missed it again," someone said. "Still a rookie." Emma's heart pounded, but she held her ground, resisting the urge to react. The veterans exchanged smirks and rolled their eyes, convinced the young player had faltered spectacularly at the crucial moment. The gym seemed to lean into the humor of the situation, the rookies' struggle becoming the evening's entertainment. Yet, just as the laughter reached its peak, Coach Ramirez stepped forward with a measured calm that silenced the room. He walked to the backboard and pointed toward a subtle mark, just beyond the rim, an almost imperceptible dent where the ball had grazed. "Look closely," he said, voice steady. The shot wasn't a miss. It hit the backboard at just the right angle. The room grew quiet, eyes narrowing as they followed his gesture. Ramirez continued, "That ball bounced off the backboard and rolled around the rim perfectly before dropping in. It's a difficult shot, one that requires precise control and timing." A stunned hush fell over the players. The tall forward's smirk faded into a blank expression, his earlier confidence replaced by a flicker of doubt. The whispers shifted from ridicule to disbelief. Emma's shot, once dismissed as a failure, was suddenly revealed as an extraordinary display of skill. Coach Reynolds stepped forward, nodding in agreement. "That's the kind of shot that can change a game. Emma, you've got something special. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Emma's chest rose and fell as she absorbed the room's sudden change in attitude. The laughter had ceased, the skepticism had transformed into curiosity and, for some, a grudging respect. She remained composed, acknowledging the moment not with words but with a quiet nod. As practice resumed, the dynamic among the players subtly shifted. The veterans who had doubted her now glanced her way with a tentative new regard, their whispers replaced by thoughtful observation. Emma herself felt a surge of confidence, not from external validation, but from the knowledge that she had met the challenge head-on and emerged with her skills undeniable. The day's events marked a turning point, not just for Emma but for the entire team. The regional championship loomed closer, and with it, the promise of a game where every player would need to rise above expectations. Emma had volunteered to face the crucible of pressure, and in doing so, she had begun to rewrite the narrative that surrounded her. No longer just the rookie who missed shots, she was becoming the player who could nail the impossible, one quiet, determined step at a time. The gym buzzed with an undercurrent of tension as the team gathered for the final practice before the regional championship. The air was thick with anticipation, the kind that clings to the skin and sharpens every sense. Emma Clark stood near the three-point line, ball in hand, heart steady but aware of every pair of eyes watching her. The earlier doubts and whispers felt like distant echoes now, replaced by an expectant silence that seemed to press around her like a physical weight. Her teammates moved with their usual confidence, exchanging quick passes and executing drills with practiced ease. Yet beneath the surface, a subtle shift had taken place. The veterans who once dismissed her were watching more closely, their skepticism tempered by the memory of her last shot's surprising precision. Some exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable, a mixture of curiosity and cautious respect. Coach Reynolds called for the final drill, a high-pressure scenario designed to simulate the closing moments of a tight game. The players would take turns shooting under time constraints, their performance scrutinized for composure and accuracy. Emma's name was announced last, a deliberate choice that felt like both a test and an opportunity. As the drill progressed, the gym filled with the sounds of sneakers squeaking and balls thudding against the hardwood. Shots rang out, some swishing cleanly through the net, others clanging off rims and backboards. The veterans executed with sharp precision, their confidence unshaken by the simulated pressure. The rookies, including Emma, watched and waited, nerves mounting with each passing moment. When her turn finally came, the gym seemed to hold its breath. Emma stepped onto the court, her movements deliberate and measured. She could feel the weight of expectation, silent but unmistakable. The ball felt familiar in her hands, smooth and steady, a constant amid the swirling uncertainty. She dribbled twice, eyes fixed on the basket, mind clearing of distractions. Then, with a fluid motion honed by countless hours of practice, she released the shot. The ball arced high, tracing a perfect parabola toward the hoop. For a heartbeat, it looked flawless. Then, with a sharp clang, the ball struck the rim and bounced outward, rolling across the court in a mocking tumble. A ripple of laughter swept through the gym, sharp and unkind. "Missed it again," one of the veterans called out, voice dripping with amusement. "Typical rookie." The laughter grew, a chorus of jeers and smirks that echoed off the walls. A tall forward leaned against the baseline, arms crossed, shaking his head with a grin. "She's still got a lot to learn," he said, loud enough for Emma to hear. The room seemed to close in around her, the laughter a spotlight she never wanted. Emma's cheeks flushed, but she refused to show defeat. Instead, she stood tall, watching as the ball finally came to rest beyond the three-point line, seemingly confirming her failure. Yet, amidst the rising tide of ridicule, a different sound cut through, the calm, steady voice of Coach Ramirez. He stepped forward, eyes narrowing as he examined the trajectory and final position of the ball. "Hold on," he said, voice firm but measured. The laughter faltered, replaced by a cautious silence as players turned toward him. Ramirez walked to the backboard, his gaze sweeping over the rim and surrounding area. "Look here," he said, pointing to a faint scuff mark on the backboard surface, barely visible unless you were searching for it. "That ball didn't just miss. It hit the backboard at a precise angle." He turned back to the group, voice low but clear. "What you're seeing is a shot that grazed the rim, bounced off the backboard with perfect timing, and rolled around the rim. It's a difficult shot, one that requires exceptional control." The room grew quiet, the earlier laughter dying away as the players processed Ramirez's words. The tall forward's smirk faded, replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. The skeptical glances toward Emma shifted, curiosity now mingling with a grudging respect. Coach Reynolds stepped forward, nodding in agreement. "That's the kind of shot you don't see every day. Emma, you've got skill, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Emma's heart pounded with a mix of relief and quiet pride. She nodded, her expression steady despite the flood of emotions beneath the surface. The moment was not about proving the doubters wrong with loud declarations, but about letting her actions speak. As the practice resumed, the atmosphere in the gym subtly changed. The veterans who had mocked her earlier now exchanged whispered conversations, their eyes lingering on Emma with newfound interest. The rookies looked on with renewed hope, inspired by the quiet demonstration of skill and resilience. Emma herself felt a surge of confidence, not born from external validation alone, but from the knowledge that she had faced the pressure and held her ground. The laughter that had once threatened to drown her resolve was replaced by a silent acknowledgement: she was a player to be watched. In the days that followed, the story of the shot that bounced off the rim but still counted spread through the team. It became a symbol of unexpected precision and calm under pressure, a reminder that appearances could be deceiving, and that true talent often revealed itself in subtle, unassuming ways. Emma continued to train with the same quiet dedication, aware that the championship game loomed ahead. The path was far from easy, and the doubts had not vanished entirely, but the narrative was beginning to shift. She was no longer just the rookie who missed shots, she was the player who could make the impossible look effortless, even when it seemed like failure. The gym lights dimmed at the end of practice, leaving behind the echoes of bouncing balls and whispered conversations. Emma gathered her gear, her thoughts focused on the road ahead. The shot of the century was yet to be made, but the foundation had been laid. And Emma Clark was ready. The gym was quiet now, the echoes of bouncing balls and shouts faded into a low hum, as the East Side Eagles wrapped up their final practice. The players gathered their gear, muscles tired but minds alert, the looming regional championship casting a long shadow over the team's preparations. Amid the scattered conversations and stretching routines, Coach Ramirez lingered near the backboard, his gaze fixed on the faint scuff marks that had become a silent testament to Emma Clark's unexpected shot. His voice, calm and measured, broke the lingering silence. "I want everyone to take another look at what happened during that last drill." The players, still scattered but attentive, turned toward him. Ramirez's eyes swept over the group, settling briefly on Emma, who stood quietly among her teammates, her expression composed yet thoughtful. "That shot Emma took," Ramirez began, "wasn't just a lucky bounce. It was a demonstration of precision and control that many players never achieve, even after years of experience. The ball hit the backboard at a specific angle, then rolled around the rim before finally dropping in. That requires an understanding of trajectory, timing, and touch that goes beyond mechanics." A murmur ran through the players, some nodding slowly, others exchanging looks of surprise. The tall forward who had been skeptical earlier shifted uncomfortably, his earlier confidence tempered by the realization that he had underestimated the rookie. Ramirez continued, most players focus on making the shot look perfect, straight to the hoop, no rim contact. But in real games, shots don't always behave that way. The best shooters learn to adapt, to use the backboard and rim to their advantage. Emma's shot was a textbook example of that adaptability. Coach Reynolds stepped forward, his usual stern demeanor softened by a trace of admiration. I've seen a lot of players come through this gym, he said, and few have that kind of innate feel for the game. Emma may be new, but she's got the instincts that matter. That shot tells me she's ready for more than just practice. Emma, usually reserved, allowed herself a small smile. The recognition wasn't about applause or praise, but validation of the countless hours she had spent perfecting her craft away from prying eyes. It was a quiet acknowledgement that her work had not gone unnoticed. As the team began to disperse, Marcus, the team captain, approached Emma. His expression was earnest, a flicker of respect shining through his usual guarded demeanor. Hey, he said, nodding toward the spot where the ball had bounced, I saw that shot. Most wouldn't catch the nuance, but it was impressive. Emma met his gaze, curious but cautious. Thanks, she replied softly. Marcus shifted on his feet, then added, I've seen you play before, street ball tournaments. You've got skills that don't usually pop up in formal settings. Why keep it so low-key? Emma considered the question, her eyes reflecting a mix of past and present. I needed to prove it to myself first, she said. Out there, under the lights, it's different. I wanted to find my footing without the noise. Marcus nodded, understanding more than his words conveyed. Well, you're starting to turn heads. Don't be surprised if the team looks to you in the big moments. The exchange left Emma thoughtful as she gathered her things. The quiet revelation of her shot had shifted something within the team, a subtle recalibration of expectations and respect. It was a reminder that mastery wasn't always loud or flashy, sometimes, it was found in the delicate balance of a ball rolling just right. As she left the gym, the weight of anticipation settled comfortably on her shoulders. The championship game was still ahead, and the challenges were far from over. But the moment of recognition, the understanding that her skills spoke louder than doubts, was a milestone. Emma Clark was no longer just the rookie who missed shots. She was a player whose precision and adaptability had begun to rewrite the story of what she could become. The 5 bullet holes of her marksmanship might have been metaphorical, but this shot, the shot that defied easy judgment, was real, tangible proof of her potential. And as the city lights flickered outside the gym's windows, Emma carried that proof quietly within her, ready for whatever came next. The gym was nearly empty now, the last of the players filing out, and the echoes of sneakers on the hardwood fading into silence. Emma Clark gathered her belongings, the weight of the day's practice still settling in her bones. The exchange with Coach Ramirez and the whispered conversations among teammates lingered in her mind, but it was the approach of Marcus, the team captain, that caught her off guard. He walked up beside her, his usual confident stride softened by a hint of something more contemplative. Hey, Emma, he began, his voice low to avoid carrying across the empty gym. Can I talk to you for a minute? Emma glanced up, surprised but not uneasy. She nodded, following him toward the bleachers, where they sat side by side, the wooden seats creaking softly beneath them. The silence stretched between them for a moment before Marcus spoke again. I wanted to say something about that shot you made during practice, he said, eyes fixed on the floor. Not many people here get what it meant. Most players see it as a miss because it didn't look clean. But I saw the precision behind it. That kind of shot. It's not luck. Emma shifted, a flicker of curiosity sparking beneath her calm exterior. Thanks, she replied quietly. I appreciate that. Marcus hesitated, then looked up, his gaze meeting hers with an intensity that was rare for the usually guarded captain. I've seen you play before. Streetball tournaments around the city, you know, those underground games where it's all about raw skill and quick thinking. You stood out back then. You've got a reputation, even if people here don't know it. Emma's expression remained steady, but her mind raced. Streetball was a world apart from organized team practices and championship expectations. It was gritty, unpredictable, a place where talent was displayed without filters, where survival depended on instinct and skill rather than coaching and structure. To be recognized in that world by someone like Marcus was unexpected. Why keep it so quiet? Marcus pressed, his tone less probing and more genuine. You've got skills that don't usually show up in a place like this without making some noise. Why not let people know who you really are? Emma considered the question carefully. Back then, it was different, she said softly. Streetball was freedom, no pressure, no expectations. But it was also chaotic, and I wanted to prove to myself that I could play in a structured environment, that I wasn't just a street player. I wanted to find out if I could be part of something bigger. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. Makes sense. But you don't have to hide who you are here. The team could use that fire, that instinct. She looked away briefly, a trace of vulnerability passing through her eyes before she masked it with a quiet smile. I'm still figuring it out, she admitted. This team, this game, it's new to me in ways that go beyond the court. I want to earn my place without shortcuts or flash. Marcus smiled, a rare warmth touching his features. Fair enough. But don't underestimate the power of being yourself. Sometimes the best way to earn respect is to show people the real you. The conversation shifted then, moving from words to shared understanding. Marcus spoke of team dynamics, the pressure of leadership, and the delicate balance of trust and competition. Emma listened, absorbing insights that went beyond basketball and into the realm of human connection. As they talked, Emma felt a subtle shift within herself, a blending of past and present, street and structured play, quiet humility and emerging confidence. Marcus's acknowledgement was more than just recognition of skill, it was a bridge between two worlds she had navigated alone. Before they parted ways, Marcus placed a hand briefly on Emma's shoulder. I'm glad you're here, he said simply. The championship's coming up, and I think you're going to surprise a lot of people. Emma nodded, the weight of those words settling comfortably on her shoulders. She stood, ready to face the challenges ahead with a renewed sense of purpose. As she walked out of the gym into the cool evening air, the city lights flickering overhead, Emma felt the threads of her past weaving into the fabric of her present. The silent sniper of streetball was becoming part of a team, her skills no longer hidden, but poised to shape the game in ways few expected. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, Emma Clark felt truly seen, not just as a rookie or a quiet player, but as someone with a story worth telling and a talent ready to shine. Emma sat alone in the quiet corner of the gym's lounge, the soft hum of distant city sounds filtering through the windows. The exchange with Marcus lingered in her thoughts, stirring memories she had carefully set aside. It was time, she realized, to confront the story that had shaped her path, one marked by sacrifice, hidden talent, and a return to the game she loved under different circumstances. Her journey had begun years earlier, in the crowded streets and makeshift courts of local neighborhoods where basketball was more than a game, it was a lifeline. From a young age, Emma had been a prodigy, her shooting accuracy and court vision setting her apart from peers. Coaches and scouts had taken notice, whispering promises of scholarships and professional prospects. Yet, amid the rising tide of opportunity, life had pulled her in another direction. Family obligations had weighed heavily. Ailing parents, younger siblings in need of guidance, and financial strain meant that the pursuit of a basketball career had to be put on hold. Emma had stepped away from competitive play, channeling her focus into supporting her family while keeping her skills alive in quiet ways, shooting hoops in empty parks, studying game footage late into the night, and maintaining the discipline that had been ingrained in her. That period of absence was marked by a tension between longing and responsibility, a balancing act that tested her resolve. She watched from the sidelines as peers advanced, their names gaining recognition, their stories told in headlines and highlight reels. But Emma remained in the shadows, content to nurture her passion privately, waiting for the moment when circumstances might allow her to return. Her re-entry into the sport had been deliberate and measured. Joining the Eastside Eagles was more than a choice, it was a statement, a commitment to proving not only to others but to herself that her skills had not diminished, that her potential remained intact. The quiet training sessions, the early morning practices, the meticulous attention to form were all part of a larger plan to reclaim her place on the court without the distractions that had once pulled her away. Emma recalled the uncertainty she felt stepping into the Eagles' gym for the first time. The veteran skepticism, the whispered doubts, the weight of being an unknown among seasoned players, it all echoed the fears she had faced years before, confronting the gap between where she was and where she aspired to be. Yet, beneath those fears was a steady flame of determination, fueled by the knowledge that her journey was uniquely hers. The revelation of her background to Marcus was a quiet moment of trust, a glimpse behind the curtain that few had seen. Sharing the story was not about seeking sympathy, but about acknowledging the complexities that shaped her. It was a reminder that talent alone did not define a player, the path taken, the obstacles overcome, and the choices made were equally vital. Marcus listened with a seriousness that surprised her, his respect deepening with understanding. "That kind of dedication," he said softly, "it's rare. You've been through more than most, and you're still here, fighting." Emma nodded. "I didn't want to leave basketball behind, but I had to put other things first. Now, I'm ready to give it everything I have, without distractions." The conversation settled into a comfortable silence, each aware of the unspoken challenges ahead. The regional championship loomed, a test not just of skill but of resilience and heart. Emma's past was no longer a shadow but a foundation upon which she could build. In the days that followed, Emma's focus sharpened. She integrated her refined skills with the team's strategies, balancing her quiet confidence with a growing sense of belonging. The lessons from her time away, the patience, the perseverance, the self-discipline, infused her play with a depth that resonated on the court. Her teammates began to see the layers beneath the rookie's calm exterior. Marcus's earlier words echoed among them, altering perceptions and fostering a cautious respect. Emma's presence became a subtle catalyst, encouraging others to look beyond surface impressions and appreciate the diverse paths that led to the game. Off the court, Emma continued her solitary routines, early morning shots, late-night study sessions, but now, they were complemented by moments of connection with her teammates. She shared insights, offered quiet encouragement, and embraced the camaraderie that had once seemed elusive. The journey ahead was still uncertain. The regional championship represented a crucible where every player's mettle would be tested, and Emma knew the pressure would be intense. Yet, armed with the knowledge of her past and the strength of her present, she felt prepared to face it. Her story was no longer one of hidden talent alone, but of a deliberate return, a reclamation of a dream deferred but not denied. Emma Clark was ready to step into the spotlight, not as the rookie who had stumbled but as a player forged by experience, determination, and an unwavering love for the game. The days following the revelation of Emma's skill and quiet strength ushered in a subtle but unmistakable shift within the Eastside Eagles. The team's dynamic, once tinged with skepticism and dismissive glances, began to evolve. The veterans who had doubted her now regarded Emma with a mixture of respect and cautious admiration, their conversations occasionally punctuated by nods toward her during drills or passing comments that hinted at newfound appreciation. Emma herself remained as composed as ever, her demeanor unchanged but her confidence quietly solidified. She understood that respect was earned over time, through consistent effort and undeniable results rather than fleeting moments of brilliance. Yet, beneath her calm exterior, a sense of belonging was taking root, a feeling that she was no longer the overlooked rookie but a valued member of a team striving for greatness. In practice sessions that followed, Emma's role subtly expanded. Coaches began to involve her more in strategic discussions, valuing her insights into shooting mechanics and defensive positioning. Her precision from beyond the arc and ability to read the court were no longer surprises but assets the team counted on. The earlier whispers of doubt gave way to conversations about potential lineups and plays that included her as a key contributor. Beyond the physical aspects of the game, Emma emerged as a mentor to younger players and less experienced teammates. She shared the lessons gleaned from years of solitary practice, how to cultivate patience, maintain focus under pressure, and refine fundamentals through disciplined repetition. Her guidance was offered quietly, without fanfare, but it resonated deeply with those eager to improve. One afternoon, during a break in drills, a group of rookies gathered around Emma, seeking advice on shooting technique. She demonstrated subtle adjustments to hand placement and follow-through, her fingers tracing the invisible arc of an ideal shot. The rookies listened intently, absorbing not just the mechanics but the philosophy of consistent, deliberate practice that Emma embodied. Meanwhile, the team's morale visibly lifted. The earlier divisions between veterans and newcomers softened as Emma's presence fostered a spirit of collaboration and mutual respect. Players began to acknowledge that talent came in many forms, and that quiet mastery was as valuable as loud confidence. Coach Reynolds took note of the transformation. In a team meeting, he praised the group's growing cohesion and singled out Emma's contributions. "She's not just a shooter," he remarked. "She's a player who understands the game deeply and helps others raise their level. That kind of leadership, even if it's quiet, is what makes a team great." Emma absorbed the praise with humility, knowing that the journey was far from over. The regional championship loomed, a stage where every player's skills and resolve would be tested under intense pressure. Yet, the collective belief in the team's potential had strengthened, and Emma felt ready to meet the challenge. As the championship approached, rumors began to circulate about an unofficial after-hours training program. Select players were seen lingering on the court late into the evening, practicing shots, running drills, and refining plays under the dim glow of the gym lights. Though Emma's involvement was never publicly acknowledged, whispers among the ranks suggested she was quietly mentoring these elite candidates, sharing her expertise, and fostering the next generation of talent. This clandestine program became a symbol of the team's evolving culture, one that valued dedication, skill, and mentorship beyond formal structures. Emma's role as a silent teacher reinforced the idea that mastery was not just about individual achievement, but about lifting others and building a legacy. Amid these developments, Emma reflected on her own journey. The path from overlooked rookie to respected mentor had been neither swift nor easy. It had required resilience, patience, and a steadfast commitment to growth. She recognized that her aim was never simply to make spectacular shots or seek recognition, rather, it was to challenge assumptions, break down barriers, and embody the principle that true skill often flourishes in silence. Her story became a quiet inspiration within the team, a reminder that talent could be hidden beneath unremarkable appearances, and that underestimation was not a weakness but a strategic advantage. Emma embraced her role fully, understanding that leadership did not always demand the spotlight. Sometimes, the most profound impact came from those who worked diligently behind the scenes, shaping the future through subtle but powerful influence. As the days turned toward the championship game, Emma's focus sharpened. She balanced her responsibilities as a player and mentor with the steady preparation that had defined her career. The once dismissive laughter of her peers had transformed into attentive observation, and the team's collective energy now pulsed with anticipation and hope. Emma Clark was no longer the rookie who stumbled through her first shots. She had become a cornerstone of the East Side Eagles, a silent force whose precision, dedication, and quiet leadership were woven into the fabric of the team's identity. Her journey was far from over, but the foundation was solid, and the future held promise born of hard-won respect and the unwavering pursuit of mastery. The evening before the regional championship, the East Side Eagles gym was quieter than usual. The usual clatter of sneakers and bouncing balls had given way to a hushed stillness, broken only by the faint hum of distant city sounds filtering through the windows. Emma Clark sat alone on a bench near the far corner, her gaze steady on the polished floor beneath her. The weight of the impending game pressed upon the team, but for Emma, it was a moment of reflection, a pause before the storm. Her mind wandered through the journey that had brought her here, from the overlooked rookie whose shots once drew laughter, to the silent mentor shaping the team's future. The path had been winding, marked by doubts and quiet triumphs, but always fueled by an unwavering commitment to resilience and mastery. Emma knew that success wasn't measured solely by points scored or games won, but by the patience and perseverance that underpinned every moment of progress. She thought about the lessons she had learned, how true mastery wasn't about flashy displays or seeking validation, but about the steady, often unseen work that built confidence and skill. The countless hours of solitary practice, the meticulous attention to form, the mental discipline to remain calm under pressure, all of these had forged her into the player she was becoming. Emma's philosophy was simple yet profound. Resilience meant embracing failure as a teacher, patience was the foundation of growth, and silent mastery was the quiet power that changed games without fanfare. She had come to understand that the most capable individuals often thrived away from the spotlight, their strength residing in the unnoticed details and subtle adjustments that made all the difference. As she sat there, the memories of the shot of the century surfaced, the moment when the ball had grazed the rim, bounced off the backboard, and slipped through the net against all odds. That shot had become a symbol, whispered among teammates and coaches alike, of what Emma represented: precision, adaptability, and the power to challenge assumptions. Her phone buzzed gently in her pocket, drawing her attention. A message from Coach Reynolds: "Ready for tomorrow. Believe in yourself like we believe in you." Emma smiled softly, the simple encouragement echoing the trust that had grown around her, even if unspoken. The door to the gym opened quietly, and Marcus stepped inside, his footsteps light. He approached and sat beside her, the team captain's usual confidence tempered by a shared understanding. "You ready?" he asked, voice low. Emma nodded. "I've never been more ready." Marcus glanced around the empty court. "You've changed this team, Emma. Not just with your shots, but with who you are. Tomorrow we all play better because of you." She met his gaze, gratitude and determination mingling silently between them. "It's not just about me. It's about all of us. About what we can become together." The two sat in companionable silence for a moment before Marcus rose. "Get some rest. Tomorrow's the day we show everyone what the Eagles are made of." Emma watched him leave, then turned her eyes back to the court. The gleaming hardwood stretched out before her, a canvas for the story yet to be told. She thought of every pass, every shot, every quiet moment of preparation that had led to this point. Her journey was far from over, but the foundation was strong. The rookie who had once been invisible had become a cornerstone, a symbol of resilience, patience, and silent mastery. Emma Clark understood that true greatness wasn't about the spotlight, it was about the steady, relentless pursuit of excellence that transformed not just games but lives. As the night deepened, Emma rose and retrieved her bag. The championship awaited, a stage where her skills and spirit would be tested anew. But she carried with her the knowledge that her aim had never been merely to hit a target, but to challenge assumptions and rewrite the narrative. The story of Emma Clark, the quiet shooter with the perfect arc, would live on, inspiring all who understood that the most powerful voices are often those spoken in silence.